Hey guys, welcome back to the PillowFort podcast. I am here once again with Kate, and this week we are going over the Syrup Village arc of One Piece, which is chapters 22 through 41. If you're following along, there will obviously be spoilers for those chapters, and maybe even minor spoilers for like down the road things. We have a variance of One Piece knowledge between the two of us, so we might mention things. But we might not. But One Piece has been around for a while. Syrup Village arc's been out for, I think, since like 2002.
Yeah.
So like it's you've had time, is what I'm trying to tell you. So anyway, Kate, it's been kind of crazy. We were off last week. Obviously, we didn't do anything last week. But now that we're back, give me any general thoughts you have on the Syrup Village arc as we get started.
Yeah. I mean, what an arc. We meet Usopp, which I think is the most significant part of this arc.
Oh, for sure.
Majority. At least in my opinion, meeting him.
I don't know,
You don't know. You're not sure.
I don't know. We'll get there. We'll get there later.
Okay.
That's a bold claim. Especially from where you stopped watching the show. That's a bold claim.
All right.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I interrupted your general thoughts.
I don't get no general thoughts out here anymore.
Get no time to talk. It's only me talking to a wall. That's what this is going to be.
It's not even a podcast anymore.
It's just a lonely guy sitting at a desk talking about One Piece to himself.
Right. All right. But anyways, but yeah, I really enjoyed meeting Usopp. I think he's very different than any of the crew members that we have seen or met up until this point. Sure. Just because, like, he doesn't really have, I would say, as much of a moral compass as some of the other members, right. At least in the fact of him being almost constantly dishonest. But, I'm sure we'll get into, some of the reasons later in the podcast and all that. But, sure. We discover a lot more about why he does what he does. And he's just like a very different guy. Also, his nose is so much bigger in the anime that it was just...
I know, right? I was underwhelmed, and I've read it before. I was like... Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's long for sure.
Yes.
Let's not, I'm not gonna... It's definitely annoying. He should consult a doctor, for sure, still. But it's not like the Pinocchio-looking guy we saw in the anime.
No. Yeah, like, he... Yeah. Yeah, his nose in the anime is pretty ridiculous if you haven't seen it.
Oh, for
but
sure.
Like
just look up a picture. If you've only read, just look up a picture of Usopp from the anime. You'll see what we're talking about.
Like, and like his nose in the manga is at least a little more realistic, like slightly more realistic. Yeah, like you could imagine, it being possible. But he just has, like, a full Pinocchio nose in the anime.
It will slowly morph in the manga to the nose that we know. So it will get longer, just so you're aware. But as you keep reading, because it's slow, it's gradual. You don't quite notice it. But then all of a sudden, you're like, wow, you really do have a very cylindrically long nose. This is not normal. And what I think is funny about it is it doesn't do anything, right? It's not even commented upon. They say nothing about it. They're just like, this is Usopp, and we're just supposed to take it. He doesn't smell better than other people. Nobody asks about it.
Nope. Nobody even bats an eye. And it's like, why is your nose like that, bro?
Yeah. And no one else on this island is. Yeah, I think we're getting lost in Usopp's nose. I think we might be.
We're gonna be here forever.
We're gonna be here for a long time if we spend this much time on Usopp's nose. So anyway, the first part of this arc, actually made me kind of question. It was one chapter. I think it's only one. It might have been two, but where we meet Gaimon on that island of weird animals, right?
Which
was the opening to this arc. I know, right? It's like one chapter thrown in there. What I kind of like about this is you can tell that, like, at this time, Oda's plan for this series was a lot smaller than it became. And I think Gaimon's chapter shows that. I think it actually tells us a ton of important stuff about the series. But it this being like kind of almost like, it almost feels like filler, but in manga.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, it's interesting. I thought, and you can tell me what, where you stood on this, but I thought that this chapter actually thematically went better with the Orangetown arc than it did with the Syrup Village arc. Like, if I was splitting up the chapters, I would have put it with Orangetown at the end, because I think the main message here is the treasure concept that we were dealing with Buggy.
Right.
I don't know if you thought that, but that's kind of where I was.
Yeah, I definitely thought that too. And like just the treasure, the thing that like Gaimon was looking for and trying to get to his entire life, like it just wasn't there. And like that was such like I think a good thematic shift from the last arc for sure. And just like seeing this guy that will do like anything to get, treasure and Buggy, and then like switching to this guy who will also like do that basically, right? But now he doesn't really have a choice. I mean, at this point,
right.
Like whether he wants to live a different life or not. And then like it's a continuation of that concept that not just like gold and silver or whatever has to be your treasure. Because by, the end of the chapter, he ends up being like, well, the animals that live here are now my treasure,
And how,
like that's
fitting
what I
is
want.
that? How great are those animals, right?
They're amazing.
I love, first of all, this is a theme that we will see with Luffy from now on, where if he sees something that is half one thing and half the other, he will choose the lesser of the two and call it that.
Yes.
So, like, he's the snake rabbit. He's like, look at this weird rabbit. And Nami's like, it's a snake with bunny ears. That's why are you calling it a rabbit? Look at that weird lion. That's a pig with a mane, Luffy. That's not. It's a pig lion. It's not a lion. Anyway,
yes.
Yeah, this is a theme that we will see later many times to absurd levels. I mean, this
Luffy
is already. But I love those animals. Yeah, he does not understand that it's not the it's not the operative word, is not the lesser of the two fusions.
Right.
But yeah, we'll get to that later. But I did like the animals. I thought that was weird. I honestly I thought they were weird.
Yes.
In the anime too, I remember seeing, like, this might even be a couple episodes, not even just one, but I remember seeing, like, they have even more animals in the anime. They're all kind of fun.
Yeah.
To see. But Luffy's reaction, I'll ask the question. How do you feel about how Luffy handles that situation with Gaimon and when he goes up to the top to see the treasure?
I think that I actually liked his reaction to that, and just like almost acting as though he was just gonna take it to kind of spare Gaimon the pain of knowing that it hasn't been there all this time. But the problem is that Gaimon already knows that Luffy is a good guy. So he's like, so he just immediately knows then that it's not there. Like, that it's never been there, or it hasn't for a long, long time, long before, he ever got to the island. I love that reaction of him just standing on top of that rock and just being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take this treasure.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it. It's so good.
Because at first, like, when I think, like, the readers don't know, you're like, this is so uncharacteristic for Luffy.
You're exactly like
what's
Nami.
happening?
It's exactly like Nami. Nami reacts like we do. She's like, what are you doing?
What
like,
are you talking
about?
Get
down here with that. You're not like that.
No, yeah.
But Gaimon gets it right away, and Luffy, it's such a good moment. Luffy is so cool. It's like moments like that I'm like, this is a great main character. And it's like that little bit, because he is an absolute moron. especially in the East Blue. He gets a little better, but only sometimes.
Not much,
and it's not really that better. It's just, he gets, I can't even say, like, less dumb. He just gets more serious at times. He's an absolute moron. But, like, there's this degree of subtlety in this moment with him that is, like, that I believe he has. Right? Like, it's not unbelievable. I'm not like, he's too dumb for this. I believe he would have that opinion, that, like, he would do this, but it does show, like, more of a deeper understanding that Luffy has of people than we kind of give him credit, at least than I give him credit for.
Right.
But this is, by the way, I don't know how much time you spend on the online One Piece community. I assume not a lot.
No.
Because I don't spend a lot on it. I don't think I do. But this chapter, I don't know if you knew this, but is used, like, very heavily in the theory that the One Piece absolutely isn't a physical treasure. There's nothing that they're going to physically find there. And they use this chapter to be like, this is Oda telling us what it's going to look like at the end. And I don't know how I feel about that. But, it's a huge thing. And Oda's actually, in interviews, he's confirmed that the treasure is not the friends you made along the way. He said that specifically. But that's all he's ever said about it.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely not. I think it's clear that it's definitely not a physical treasure. Obviously, when we get much further in this series, we'll have probably many more discussions about it. As we get closer to what's happening in the present day. But this little one-shot chapter, this little one-off chapter, like, could actually end up being very important, like a very important foreshadowing for the whole series.
Yeah. And that would follow too with, like, Oda not really originally planning for this series to go on as long as it has,
Right.
If he was attempting to foreshadow that, like, it would definitely, like, because, my other thing would be, like, if this is foreshadowing, this is super early for that placement to make really a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
But, like, also at the same time, if he was thinking like that, back in the day when he created this chapter, like, I would understand how this could potentially be foreshadowing. And I would definitely say that I could for sure believe in that too.
Yeah. It's definitely, and Oda's a genius. Like, he clearly has a plan laid out, even as early as this, for what he kind of wants it to be. I think it's pretty clear that he, like, amends that plan as he keeps going. He's clearly added in many more things than he thought originally, right? But I think that end goal, I think the end is similar to what it was in the beginning, if not the same. Because I think these things he sets up will pay off, but yeah. Anyway, that's enough about Gaimon, the one chapter at the beginning of this arc that probably means nothing at all in the grand scheme of things. You know what? No, it's not the end of Gaimon. Real quick before we move on. Luffy asked this shrub of a man to join his crew. And I don't know how I feel about that. Because, like, this is just, like, what? I mean, Luffy, what are you thinking, right? What are you thinking is going to be Gaimon's, like, utility in this bunch? What is he going to be?
Luffy's not thinking about that, though. Luffy doesn't care about people's utilities.
But, like, he's a shrub man. Like, what's he going to...
He is a shrub man.
He's a dude who fell in a treasure box and got stuck there. And is now permanently fused to the treasure box. Which, by the way, I don't think is possible. I don't think that's a thing that could happen. Maybe.
I don't know.
But if it did, it's got to be gross in there. Luffy, I think you really need to think about the hygiene practices of those that you bring on board, because this is a small ship. We need to think about bathing, Luffy, and I don't think you're thinking about it.
No.
Anyway, I
don't think pirates' first priority is bathing, though.
No, yeah. I mean, historically, certainly not. I can't imagine that Luffy loves bathing.
Yes.
I can't imagine that he's super into that.
No.
Yeah. I just I found it really weird that he asked Gaimon to join, and Gaimon's just like, no. And it's like a one-off thing. It's almost like a courtesy thing. Like Luffy knows he's not gonna come, but he's like, yeah, you could if you want to. We'll go.
Could, though.
It could be fun, Could be fun. Yeah. But anyway, we'll move away from Gaimon. Well, for now, because we've got more on Gaimon later, but. So, that brings us to Syrup Village, to the namesake of the arc, and to Usopp. Give me some Usopp thoughts. What did you think about him? Obviously, we talked a little bit about him, but maybe stay away from the nose aspect. We've covered that, for sure. But, if what other Usopp thoughts do you have? Or Usopp pirate thoughts. You could talk about the kids as well.
Yes.
Who are all named what their head looks like.
No, their names are just like what their heads are.
That's what your head is.
That's what your head is. It's what your hair looks like. That's your name.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoy the little ragtag team of Usopp pirates that we have going on, in Sarah Village. Also, I like how when you meet Usopp, your first perception of him changes so quickly, and I really appreciate that in the character development, and just being like, wow, this guy's kind of a jerk. He's running through the village telling all the villagers that pirates are coming and gonna destroy their houses and everything, and nobody's coming, nobody's doing that. But then, you immediately see after as well, his care for, I can't remember her name. Is it Kaya?
It is Kaya. You got it.
Yes. Okay. Woo. All right. So, yeah. So, his, even though he's still lying to her, she knows that he is. She's not... really being deceived, she knows that he never landed on a giant goldfish's poop, right? She
at
she knows
5
that
years
he's been
old
in this island his whole life, right? So, she knows that this has not happened, but, it makes her feel happier. It makes her, it just gives her a laugh, in a time when she's very ill and not well, and, that's, just... a really, I think, nice thing to do, but, it's almost a nice thing to do in the wrong way, a little bit, but I like that, because it makes him, so much more of, a dynamic person,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know so much that I think he's being a little misbranded when he's saying that he's, lying to Kaya. Because essentially, he's just telling stories. We all do that. He's not yes, he's portraying it as if it's true, right? He's saying in this way, but he has to know. He is, I believe, 16 years old at this time in the story. He has to know that she doesn't think he really landed on fish poop. If he did, he would be 5 at the time. We all know that it's not real. Now, the screaming the pirates thing, I think, is incredible, much more complex.
Yeah.
But I think it's all goes back to this whole, he is fabricating these lies. He's telling these stories to, bring some joy.
Yes.
To either Kaya or I think to himself when he screams, the pirates are coming. Because I think that ending flashback with his mom made it clear that Usopp does this out of a delusion that his dad's gonna come home one day and take them with him, which is incredibly sad.
Yes.
That this 16-year-old boy is still doing this years later. It seems like every day. The townspeople rely on him as an alarm clock. When he doesn't do it, they're like, is Usopp all right? Where is this guy? I overslept because there wasn't screaming.
Right.
They use this man as a rooster. He's been doing this every day for years.
He's the village's rooster.
He's just the village's rooster. But I think it's all I think you're absolutely right. It's yeah, there's something slimy about this, right? There's something, like, obviously the villagers run after him with shovels and pitchchforks, so, like, they don't love him.
But they miss him, though.
But they do love him. Like, yeah, they do. They don't, like, they're upset that he's doing this, right? But, like, everybody's okay with it. Everybody lets him go. Because they're like, yeah, I mean, he's had a tough life, though, you know? He's had a tough life. If they caught him with the shovel, I don't think they'd hit him, you know? If they got up to, I think the whole thing is the chase. But, but yeah, no, it does present a really interesting dynamic of, like, is he doing something that is wrong, like, on paper is wrong, but for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And he's not hurting anyone with it, in all honesty.
No. Yeah, and just also, like, the fact that even though he still continues to do this every day, right, that he, like, does not actually grow any resentment for his dad. Like, he just, like, he's just wants him to come back. Like, he does not, like, despise his dad for going out and being a pirate. Even though, like, some people in the village definitely do despise his dad for doing that, you know? That, like, aren't his own son, you know? And then, like, also Luffy comes along and he just, like, randomly says, "Oh, yeah, I met your dad."
Yeah, I knew Yasopp.
And I'm like, I feel like as an abandoned child, like, that would feel, like, so hurtful, right? Like, you would be like, oh, wow, like, my dad, like, spent time with you, but not, like, with his own son, you know? But, like, even then, like, Usopp doesn't hate him. He never, ever resents him, which is, like, very strong, honestly, you know?
Yeah. So we were going to talk about this way later. This is like the last thing on my list, but we're going to get into it now because we're here. This is the strangest commentary, maybe in fiction, on an absentee parent that I maybe have ever seen. It's like, what am I supposed to take from this, Oda?
Right.
Like, because, like, it seems like what he wants me to take from this is, like, he's like, because clearly Usopp does not resent him at all. Usopp, like, if Usopp, he is genuinely proud, and this goes into his first fight with, I guess I'll call him Clawhador at the time, but Kuro, his first fight at the mansion, when Kuro, like, insults his dad, it's like, he clearly takes pride in what his dad did. He's not only not upset, he's like, encouraging of it. And that's the whole thing, is, like, his whole, like, fantasy about the pirates coming is not about, like, his dad's coming home. It's his dad's coming to take him and his mom with him. Yes. Like, they're gonna go out with him. It's not to hinder his dad by keeping him home. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what you thought about it, but it's just, I've never, in fiction, and maybe this is just, like, it doesn't come up all that often, but it does. It definitely does. I've never in fiction seen this kind of depiction of what is essentially an absentee dad. I mean, what is a dad who literally, I mean, he's like, we see him in the flashback with Luffy. Like, we see him in the flashback with Luffy literally just be like, I had a family, but the sea calls. So, like, he's just gone. Like,
yeah. During this, like, whole arc, like, I really never got Oda's point in doing that either. Like, we're supposed to be happy that he's an absentee father, almost. Like, that he left his son and his wife behind, you know, on this island, and then he's just gone. Like, and I guess, like, you know, it's almost like, you know, Oda wants us to take on this mentality that, like, the pirate's life is above all else, you know?
Yeah!
But, like...
it's like, he's like, no, it's okay because he was a pirate, guys.
Mentality, like... seems pretty rough. I mean...
I think Oda got lost in the sauce a little bit.
Usopp's mom died, like, almost right after he left, and, like, so, like, Usopp was... then essentially an orphan, you know, like, on this island, because, you know, he never knew when his dad was coming back, his mom was dead, and so, like, and I mean, I guess that did, like, grow the village's love for him more, because it seemed like more so that, like, the rest of the village then kind of took on taking care of him, you know? But, like, it's a very strange concept, for sure.
Right. I think that it is the best case scenario of how, like, in all the possibilities of, like, how Usopp could have turned out, this is maybe the best case scenario.
Yes.
Like, but it's definitely a different way to look at this. It's almost like Oda is like, no, guys. The dad leaving isn't the tragedy here. The mom dying was the tragedy. Dad leaving? Yeah. Fine. He's a pirate, so we're going to let him go. Not only is he a pirate, he's with Shanks. So, like, we know he's good. Let's let him go. Which is like, man, I don't know, Oda. I don't know if I'd let him go. He could have taken care of his family. Like,
still that's kind of an absentee father. But
kind of messed up, Oda, actually.
It's pretty messed up, but, you know.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't really know, honestly, much about Yasopp. So other than this flashback, I have very little knowledge of what he does or is.
Wow.
But, like, I mean, he's still with Shanks. He's high up in the Red Hair Pirates. So that's, I mean, that's
he's
something.
Obviously good, you know.
Yeah, he's clearly good. That's for sure. It was such an interesting theme.
Yes.
It's not really an interesting theme. Like, it's a very common theme, I feel like, in fiction to depict this, because it's a very traumatic situation that happens all the time in life.
Yeah. Except for, like, this is, I think, definitely, like you were saying, one of the only times we were supposed to view that as a positive and not a negative.
And my question is, and this is, I think, it only helps that we don't really know Yasopp at all to say this, but is it not, like, because Usopp's depiction of this is positive, in my mind, it paints Usopp as almost, in this weird way, because most of the time he's not, but in this one weird way, as, like, the super optimist who's like, it's almost like, you know what? And this is crazy, but you remember Gon, right?
Yeah.
From Hunter x Hunter. This is so similar to Gon, who's like, I don't hate Jing at all. He just wants to find him.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, being a hunter must be so cool that it would be worth leaving me.
Oh,
and so I want to know what that's like. It's like, that's the same thing that's happening in Usopp's head. He's like, being a pirate must be so amazing that, like, he'd be willing to leave us. It's like the ultra positive take on this happening, which is weird.
It's, like, so hard, because, like, as a child, like, in your brain developing and everything, like, I don't even know, like, if it's possible, like, for people in real life to actually end up having that much of an optimistic view.
Yeah, I've never ever met someone who has this idea.
Right.
I've never. I don't think it's real.
How could you? Like, that's so crazy.
I think there's, like, a lot of differences too. I think maybe even time period could make a difference, because, like, we live in such, like, an immediate world that, like, if your dad now were to go somewhere and you wouldn't be able to get in touch with him, it's because he intentionally doesn't want to talk to you. But, like, in this time, that's different. There's no real way to communicate. So if he has to go somewhere, like you know, I think this situation is more common in other countries where they'll go overseas. Where, like, the dad will, like, go overseas to work for, like, months at a time and then just send the money back home.
Yeah.
And so, like, in that case, like, if, you know, obviously now we have ways to communicate, but before, like, you know, if you don't, I mean, you could write letters, but that's all you got.
Basically, yeah.
You know.
And I mean, like, I think both Gon and Usopp, like, there's no real, like, address that they would be able to send the letters to. Like, it's not, because both of their dads are constantly moving to different places, so it's not, they can really communicate, like, at all.
Somehow I think whatever the postal system is in One Piece is not super cool with pirates. I think somehow, I'm guessing that they don't just stop at the ships and be like,
maybe they
what's
have
going on?
a post boat, you know?
Yeah, just one mailman rowing himself out there to the ship. Guys got anything
goes
today?
On the Grand Line and everything. He's just
in a rowboat by himself, just furiously rowing.
If the boss really hates you, he'll send you on the Grand Line route.
Yeah, you're in the new world today, buddy. So good luck.
Oh, damn it.
Ah, shucks.
I'm gonna die.
I'm gonna die. I'm not even gonna make it to the island. Yeah, no, this is good. I like that we have this now. This one lone mailman. Yeah, no, but it's just really interesting, and I knew it would definitely be an interesting topic to talk about because it's a weird way to see this.
It's incredibly strange.
But how'd you feel about the kids? About my boys, Pepper, Carrot, and Onion?
First of
their
all,
amazing names.
Very sorry about their names.
Yeah.
Because could you imagine living your whole life with one of those names? That'd
be bad.
That's a lot. But I really liked them, honestly, just because of even just seeing the backstory of how the Usopp pirate crew started. And how
it's so fun.
At first they just hated Usopp so much, and then then he was just how about you join my crew? And they were like, okay, let's do it. Let's form the Usopp Pirates. And just also how they took on. It warmed my heart just so much at the end. Seeing them do what Usopp did every day after he left, and then we're gonna continue on his legacy by, essentially annoying the townspeople.
Yeah, we're just gonna be a pain to everyone we know.
But it makes you feel so happy though, because you're wow, Usopp really formed such amazing connections with these kids. Despite their major, age gap from each other, and also they are just straight up so brave, for real.
Yeah, incredibly brave.
They walked just straight up into the face of danger and were we're gonna stay here. We don't care what you say, Usopp. We're gonna fight as the Usopp pirate crew.
My boys were beating Kuro in the face.
Literally everything. And they did actually some damage, when they were especially attempting to protect Kaya and everything. And in at least distracting, Django from doing anything major to her. And just kind of buying more time as well, But I really love those kids. They're amazing.
They're great.
I feel bad that their names are that, but
listen, clearly Oda was I don't know what to call these kids.
I'm not gonna try with these names.
Let's draw Pepper on his head. He's Pepper.
He's Pepper.
Yeah, I like them. I like that they're all a little different. But I love that they all have dreams that have nothing to do with being pirates as well. That's amazing.
So
at the end, that they're all I want to be a writer. I want to be a they're not even they're just as emotional about it, but they don't want to be pirates at all. They just love Usopp that much, which is it's even more of Usopp is so cool with these kids.
Yes.
And it is like a high schooler and elementary schoolers. That's the age difference that's going on here. He's a sophomore and they're fourth graders.
Right. It is funny though, when they're saying their dreams and everything, because you do expect the whole time that they want to be pirates, right? But they're just they have just random dreams, which is fine, which is great for them, and it does, like you said, say a lot about how much they really cared for Usopp.
Right.
But I just thought it was so funny when they said their dreams, because you're not expecting it at all. Yeah.
No, it's good. I like the kids. But moving on. How do you feel about Kaya?
I like Kaya a lot as well.
Good. I was worried that you would hate her.
Oh, no. I don't hate Kaya. I actually like her a lot. Because, like, you know, like, she's trying her best, you know, while she's very ill to, you know, do whatever is in her power to save those around her, to save Usopp. Like, she wants to save everyone in the situation. That's the thing. Like, even if they're the bad guy, even after, like, you know, I guess if we're still gonna call him like Clawhador or whatever right now,
we'll just call him Kuro. They know,
we can call him Kuro. Yeah,
you guys
we've
know.
kind of been skipping around all over in this chapter already.
There's no through line here. We've already done the dad bit. It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah, but like, even like with Kuro, at the end, even after like she knows that he's not a good person, that he's like evil and is trying to just like destroy everyone, she's still like is trying to find a way that like everyone in this situation can live, you know?
Right.
And that's like so like that just speaks volumes about like her character, as well as like her being incredibly ill and also going to the scene that the fight is happening herself and being like, hey, like, I will sign a will right now. I will give you everything. Just leave us alone. Like, leave our island alone, you know? Like, you can have whatever you want.
Yeah,
because it's
take
not
my money.
because it's not actually as valuable to her, you know, as the life of Usopp or as the life of anybody else in the village, you know? Like, she doesn't care about whether she has money or not. And then, obviously, you know, Kuro is just like, no, you know, like, I have to be able to be, like, a pillar of respect or whatever in the community, you know? But, like, I really like her, to be honest. Like, she showed just amazing courage. And even in just, like, the way that Kuro, like, really hated Usopp basically the whole time, you know, that he was there.
Yeah.
And just still every time, like, Kaya is trying to explain to both parties on the opposite sides there that hated each other that, like, why the other person was, like, still, like, fine and a good person.
Yeah.
And that's just so amazing to me as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like Kaya a lot. Can we also talk about the fact that what she has is just severe depression?
Yes.
Like, that's her sickness. That's, like, Oda didn't say it, but that's what's going on, because there's nothing physical happening, and she recovers at the end. Like, she's walking around, like, in regular clothes.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I thought that was really interesting. Like, well, Oda, why didn't you just say she's severely depressed? Because essentially he does.
I kind of liked that, though.
You did? Okay, well, maybe I'm off here.
No, I just like that because, like, I feel like, honestly, a lot of the times, like, in the real world as well as, you know, in fictional stories, like, depression isn't really viewed as this serious thing that could potentially keep you in bed, like, every single day, you know? Like, it's just kind of viewed as, like, you know, oh, just get over it. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, get out of bed. Like, stop doing it. But it's actually, like, a mental, like, illness that's occurring to you and can make, like, things like that happen to you. So I actually liked how, you know, he didn't even say that. And so it, like, kind of forced you to almost take it more seriously in a way, which I enjoyed, personally.
Yeah. No, it definitely
As
did.
somebody
like,
with depression as well, like, I was like, dang, like, that's...
I mean, that's what it is, right? I mean, her parents pass away, and she, like, develops the illness, quote unquote, is like, whatever it is, this mystery disease, which I'm saying is just depression. For like 3 years she's been like this. So like it's just severe depression is where she is. And like that's why like Usopp's like stories are fun. Like that's why she enjoys them a lot.
Right.
And probably also why Kuro's like, well, okay, well, that's not why he's concerned, but like we'll take Mary, the sheep man. That's probably why Mary is concerned about Usopp, is because he's like, I don't know what this kid's saying, and he just runs through the town, screams that pirates are here all the time. So I have bad ideas about what's going on. I'm like, not the best kid. That's all I know.
No, definitely not.
I mean, obviously, Kuro has other things. But speaking of, how do you feel about Mr. Poop Jacket himself, Captain Kuro?
Mr. Poop Jacket.
Yeah. Have you seen the designs on the sides of his suit coat? They are poop stains. That's what they are. They're just piles of poop. That's what they are.
Piles of poop. Yeah, it does.
That's not original. That one comes from Cliff.
Yeah.
It actually comes from Oda because a fan wrote a letter into Oda and said, "Is that real poop or just a design?" And Oda says it's real poop. So it was definitely a joke. It's not like he was definitely not being serious, but looks like poop. Anyway, how do you feel about Quahador, Kuro, whatever you want to call him?
Yeah, I mean, as a villain, I think Kuro is decent, you know? Like, it's just the only thing is, like, his goals are confusing to me.
Okay, alright, like, let's go there.
As a villain, like, his goals are a little confusing to me, just because, like, he's like, I want to lead a relatively normal life, but do it in the worst way possible. Like,
sure.
Like, I think yeah. Go ahead. You're good.
I think, so, like, he wants money, right? That's clear. That's why he became a pirate. He's like, I want the wealth that comes with this. But then he's like, I want out. I don't want to be chased all the time. Excuse me. And I have to, like, fight for these like Marines, fight other pirates all the time. I want to just, like, live a normal life with my money. And so he's like, how do I do that? This is my plan. Like, I get he's got a problem here that makes sense, I think, in both the One Piece world and the real world, where he's on this cusp of, I am just barely strong enough to eke out a living here. Like, I'm strong enough that I, like, am not, like, if I encounter a random Marine ship, I'm probably going to be okay. Most of the time, they're not going to be able to catch me. I can win. But not all the time, because there are Marines out here in the East Blue that could get me.
Yeah.
And so, like, at any point, somebody could arrest me. Another pirate could roll up on us and kill me. Like, so it's like a very high-risk, high-reward lifestyle. And he's like, I don't want to play that game. And so he tries to get out, but he's already in it. So he's got to figure out a way to get out without being arrested. Because as Django says, like, if you just quit, they'll just arrest you wherever you go. So
yeah,
it'll be like, that's the whole thing about pirates, is the mobility of them allows for them to not be caught quite as easily, because they're never in the same place. They don't have an address. As we've talked about with mailing, they don't have an address. Unless you get that paper guy on it. Get that mailman on it. He'll find it.
Right. Yeah, but I
think he has a point. I think
I see his point as well. Of, like, even though he can defeat a decent amount of the Marine ships that he encounters, that it's still a pain in the ass, right? Like, to have to deal with
he doesn't want to be
time.
here.
Like, even if he can defeat them. I also think, like, his nickname as, like, the 100 plans or whatever, Kuro. It is quite funny at the back end of this chapter when you're like, well, he definitely didn't plan for Luffy to be here.
Luffy was not in the cards.
Luffy was not in, like, the foresight. But it doesn't really seem like he has a plan B.
Yeah, no.
Which is kind of like, if he's the 100 plans guy, you should probably have another plan as well. But, I mean, obviously, you know, he's defeated and everything, so,
sure,
you know, it's hard to fill out other plans at that point, but, yeah, I just thought that, I think he's an interesting character and an interesting villain as well. I don't know, like, there's like something about just, you know, him like kind of just wanting to avoid the conflict makes me feel like I don't really love you as a villain though, because like, you know, I feel like a lot of the villains we've encountered, even up to this point, they don't shy away from conflict. Like, they know that Marines will come and fight them and random people will come and fight them, but like, they are willing to put up the fight, you know? It just seems like he's almost like lost his, you know, desire to do that. So now he's just like, well, I just want to hide away in this kind of little village and be able to do my own thing without everybody being on my ass, basically.
Right. And that's the whole theme of this arc, I think. And this is almost why I think, even going back to the Usopp and his dad conversation, why this is kind of played off is because Luffy has a specific argument with Kuro about what is a pirate.
Yeah.
And about how Kuro's just not one. And he doesn't have that argument with almost any other villain in the whole series. He has it just with Kuro because he's like, you don't even deserve to be a pirate. Because you don't deserve the title, because it's a high title for Luffy. And this is the same thing with Usopp. It's a high title to him too. That's why he gets so mad when he badmouths Usopp, and why he's probably so okay with it. Because this like, you're not being what you say you are. And that's Kuro's problem. Because like Buggy, as, you know, interesting of a planner as he was, he does what he says he's gonna do. He at least attempts to do what he's gonna say, what he says he's gonna do. You know, he is not lying or he's not conniving anything in this situation. He's just doing what he said. But Kuro's the conniving one, which I think is even more interesting when you offset it with what Usopp is, which is a liar who does it only for the benefit of others.
Right.
Because you've got the I guess I wouldn't call him a protagonist because Luffy's always the main character, but like one of the main characters, the intro arc to Usopp, has the villain be this liar, and Luffy showing him how bad it is that he constantly lies. But then on the other hand, Luffy is amazingly impressed with Usopp at every turn of this arc, which I think is like, it provides a good contrast and doesn't really answer the question, is it wrong? Is lying wrong? It just says maybe, but maybe not. It depends on what the intent is.
Yeah, it definitely does. And just like seeing also how like Luffy reacted and everything after like Captain Kuro did his like special technique and he started slicing up his own crew members. Like just seeing like, it was another one of those Luffy moments where, like, you were like, wow, this guy's actually kind of intimidating. Like, Luffy, in that moment, he was like, no, like, that's not what you do. And even, like, on a, you know, on a slightly different level, like, that's not even, like, what Buggy was like, you know? Like, in that, like, he wouldn't, like, risk the lives of all of his crewmates just to kill one person, right? You know, like, he wouldn't do that, but, like, Luffy just seeing that, oh my gosh, it makes him so internally angry that, like, Captain Kuro, both deceived all of his crewmen, as well as is, like, actively, like, killing them just to try and get at, you know, his enemy, which is himself, but, yeah, it's, I really, thematically, there is a good amount going on in the arc, which is interesting, but it's not, it like almost kind of hides itself, I think, but like on first read through, I think it's a little more difficult to pull it out, but yeah, also, quick sidebar, the Marine that Kuro lets capture the fake him, did you catch who that was? No, I can't really remember.
That is Axe-Hand Morgan.
Oh.
Axe-Hand Morgan's the one who captures the fake Kuro, and that's why he's promoted to captain.
Oh, well, that was a shitty decision.
Yeah, it was a bad move for the Marines. Didn't work out. That's for sure.
Could move.
But what I like about that is when we get to see the next captain that's introduced, there is a massive difference in strength, and it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Because I don't think Axehand Morgan, as we saw him, would stand any chance against Kuro.
Oh no.
I don't think it's a fight at all. But the next captain we meet would demolish Kuro, and I think that's like I think that guy's probably a pretty strong captain anyway. But it does explain the difference, because the Marines probably look at it like, whoa, he captured this guy? Like he's got to be way stronger than we thought. Yeah, but anyway, it's interesting. It's an interesting bit of One Piece lore.
Yes.
But kind of going back a little bit, let's talk about Django and the rest of and I guess Siam and Bucci if you want to talk about them too. But you got any Django thoughts? You have one guess. You have no screw ups. Who is Django based on?
Michael Jackson.
Bingo! You got it.
I mean, that's so clear to tell. Like,
yeah, it's hilarious.
Like,
it's really
from
funny.
The way he dresses to, like, he moonwalks into the scene, and you're just like, okay, so I know who this character is based off of.
Yeah. So Oda, you really were into Michael Jackson at the time. Got it.
Yeah. I actually love Django. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, he's so good.
I think he is just so funny. Like, I love him so much. Because, like, he doesn't even think to look away from his own hypnotism half of the time. And, like, that just makes him, like, fall asleep at random moments, you know? Like, you know, I just think he's really, really funny. And just, like, the combination of the absolute seriousness that, like, Captain Kuro is and how Django is, like, the so almost direct opposite of him. I think it's great, honestly. I really enjoy just, like, watching Django in general. And also in that, like, the hypnotism thing, I think it's definitely, like, a cool, like, power to possess.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, in this world, because, like, we don't really see a lot like that, you know?
No.
Like, a lot of, you know, special abilities, you know? I know in the first episode we talked a lot about, you know, Shanks's, you know, making eye contact with the,
right.
with the, you know, sea monster, and then him going away. So that's obviously some ability that doesn't require devil fruits that we don't quite know about yet, but, like, this is, like, kind of another one of those things where you're like, okay, like, you know, I can probably believe in some hypnotism, but maybe not to this extent. In that, like, he's actually making people believe and, like, become stronger than they are, which is also just hilarious when it happens to Luffy. Because, like,
because of course it would. Yes, because of course Luffy's not going to look away. Like, he does not have the brain cells to think to do that. Yeah, like, you gotta have two to rub against each other, and he only has the one.
He might only, he has the one. He has only one brain cell, and all of that was focused on just, what is this weird Michael Jackson looking guy doing, you know?
It's crazy that Luffy knows who MJ is, but...
yeah, right? And then, you know, he just goes crazy and rips apart the ship and everything.
Yeah.
And I think it's so funny, just because, like, all throughout the series, you get all of these moments where, like, people that don't know Luffy will think he's dead. Like,
yeah.
Because they don't know that he's made of rubber. So
real quick, why on earth did he survive having that chakram in the back of his head?
I don't know.
There's no answer to that. There's that was in his brain. It was like there's zero reason he should be alive. I don't know. I just that moment.
Wow, he's so strong. How is he not
how
dead?
Is he flexing his head? Like what?
And we're all like, we don't know either, honestly. Like,
yeah, it should have gone through him. I don't know what's up. Is he flexing his head somehow? Like what is he doing?
Yeah, made his head hard to rubber.
No, but going back, he shouldn't be able to do that. Going back to, you were talking about the powers. I think it is super interesting. The hypnotism thing is really interesting, and it is. There's two instances I think that I can think of, at least right now, and I think maybe ever, in the series where Oda just doesn't explain what's going on, and this is one of them. That he just doesn't. We don't know. We still don't know. I can explain what Shanks did. I know now, right?
Yeah.
Like, we've gotten far enough in the story that I know what that is, but that's not the same thing as what Django's doing for sure. And I don't like. Django's just like not explained. Oda's just like, yeah, he hypnotizes people. It's super crazy. Yeah, he just doesn't. And I think this is another example of like the small scale thing that Oda has going on right now, where he's like, it's like, it doesn't really matter, right? Like, it's like, he's like, yeah, he can hypnotize people. It's fine. You're not going to fact check that. Why do you care? Because he does, like, at the time, if you thought this was going to go on for like 20 years, you'd be like, oh, maybe I should be more careful about the power system in this world. But like, you don't. You think you got like 5 years at best. And so you're like, you know, he can hypnotize people. Who do you care? And I think it's fine. I just, it's definitely interesting that he has the powers. Yeah, I like the Black Cat Pirates. They're okay. I just, honestly, I'm just like, just leave Kuro behind, guys. Just, you guys need to just go do your own thing with Django.
Yeah.
I want this to be a much better situation without Kuro.
That's
you
my
don't need,
thing.
Yeah, you don't need
like
Captain
that whole
Poopstain on your team here.
You don't need Captain Poopstain. But yeah,
leave him in
that's
the dirt.
my thing too. Is like, especially after like he's like, oh yeah, I was gonna just kill all of you anyways, you know. At that point, I'm like, why don't you all just leave? Like, you've already had a different captain in Django, like, these whole 3 years. So like,
for a long time.
Like,
yeah,
I guess they know if they try to go, maybe he'll just kill them, you know, as they try and leave. But like, still, I'm just like, you could like just try, or even just try and like stop him, you know, like try and, you know, help Luffy even in that situation. Like, well, he's gonna kill us anyway, so we might as well just help this dude. Like,
yeah, might as well help Kuro, or no, help Luffy. Hello, where am I? Hello. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, but kind of, I guess, rewinding time a little bit. I love when Usopp like tries to save Kaya, right, and all that stuff, and like gets shot by Mary and all that goes down, right? And he's just generally so desperate because he's got the boy who cries wolf scenario going on, where no one's gonna believe him because Klahadore has been like great to everyone, so they're like, we're definitely gonna go with him, guy.
Yeah.
Like, you're known to lie, so we're not gonna trust you. But like, after that whole situation, the kids are like, when those kids are there, Usopp tells them, I made it all up. I just hated that butler guy and I made it all up. And the kids are like, that sucks, man. And they like leave. And I'm like, wow, that's tough. That's so tough. These elementary school kids are like, yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that you did that, so I'm out. It's real, but it's tough. But then I love the determination. He sends them away, and he does that so that they don't go with him and get hurt.
Yeah.
Because he's like, at this point, he's like, I by myself have to stop this pirate crew from coming up onto the shore. It's just me. And like, cause he doesn't know that Luffy, Zoro, and Nami are gonna help him. He's like, it's just, and he sits there and goes, okay, this is what he's going through it in his head, and is clearly terrified, but like so determined to get it done. And this is like, goes with another moment in this arc that I just makes me love Usopp as a character, where like you see at one point he like his head's been like bashed in, he is face first on the ground, butt up in the air, like the most humiliating position he could be in this fight, and he screams to give the kids directions, and like to continue to like be a part of this fight, and they all make fun of him, and Luffy is like, shut up, like Luffy yells at the rest of the crew members, like he's like, don't make fun of Usopp. It's like this, like there is no, he is face down, butt up in the dirt, and the man is still like, I'm still gonna save him. I don't care what I look like. I don't care what this is. I'm gonna save him. And I'm like, that is bravery. This is not the first time that you're going to hear this rant, well, it's the first time, but it's not the last time, that's for sure. Usopp is the bravest character in this series. I will take no questions.
I agree.
Because bravery, as defined as strength in the face of fear, he faces fear on a constant basis here. And he always gets up because he's supposed to. And Oda's even said this before, right? Oda's main purpose for introducing Usopp was to introduce a character that we would be able to look at and say, that is my level of physical ability.
Right.
Like, that's what Usopp is for us, by the way. So, because you could say, like, oh, isn't Nami like that? And, like, kind of, but, like, Nami's really smart. And also, even Nami's a little better. Because, like, she, like, pulled out the bow staff and, like, beat some grown men. Like, even she's, like, definitely not normal.
Yeah. And even that, like, she's not usually afraid. That's the thing. Like,
right.
I think it also might just be because, you know, we'll learn later as well, like, a lot of the things she's been through in her life and everything. But, like, you know, like, she's not as genuinely afraid as Usopp is in most of these situations.
Right. Yeah, and that is proven clear by the fact that she throws Zoro down the cliff that's oiled up. Can I just say, it's hilarious to watch, and it's
so mad.
it accomplishes the goal of keeping Zoro and Luffy away from the battle until Usopp has had his moment to shine, right? So, like, thematically and narratively, I understand why it happens. But can we talk about, like, if she's worried about her treasure, right? Why on earth would you throw Zoro down the cliff? If anyone is going to save that treasure, it's him, not you.
Yeah.
And she ends up on the other side of the cliff with just Usopp. And she's like, where are the other two?
No.
Well, one of them you threw down a cliff. I'm like, why would you do that?
I think the thing is, though, is like when she started sliding down the cliff, she was kind of like, well, it either has to be me or him at this point. And I would rather have it be him than me. So
yeah, I want it to be him, so I'm gonna
yank him so that I can get leverage too.
I think this is a good, not to spoil anything, but minor spoilers for one more arc, people. I think this is a good, like, a brief, like, kind of glimpse that Nami is not fully on board yet. Nami's still out for Nami first.
Yeah.
And this is, like, because I think in future arcs, she would just trust them to get the job done.
Right.
Like, she doesn't need to be as involved by herself in it. But because she doesn't trust them fully at this point, and she doesn't, like, she is still after the money for her own reasons, she's like, I have to go and personally defend it and make sure it's okay. Because she doesn't trust anybody. So that makes a little bit of sense. But I was still like, Zoro gets thrown to the cliff, and I was like, Nami, this is a bad play for you. It would be much better if you just let Zoro do this.
I mean, they kind of do pay the price as well, though, because, I mean, then it ends up, like, only her and Usopp are there.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, Luffy is directionally challenged, and so is Zoro.
Yeah,
so
nobody's doing good there. What I love is this is almost contrasted a little bit, I think, by the final blow to Django in the forest, where Zoro cuts the branch so that Usopp will shoot him.
Yeah.
That is like a really cool display of trust for Zoro. I think it's like without saying anything, Zoro was like, I know he's gonna hit him. And like that was really cool for me. I don't know if that stood out to you, but I really liked that.
That was so cool for me too, to just see that. That is like a lot of trust to put in somebody for sure that you just met. You know, obviously, you know, Zoro doesn't have as much stake in this as Usopp does, but just like the fact that, you know, usually I think a lot of the times that we've seen Zoro before, he's just kind of like, yeah, I can handle my own business, so like I got this, you know. But this is like definitely one of those big moments where he's like, you know, if we're gonna do this in time, we need to work together, you know.
Right, and he doesn't say anything. He just trusts that Usopp will take the shot. And Usopp says, like, oh, that branch was in my way, and takes the shot. Like, it's just, like, it's such a good thing. And it's, like, the second time, I feel like, that we've seen Zoro do that. Like, because with Morgan, Luffy didn't say anything at all. Zoro just cut Morgan down to save Luffy from getting hit.
Yeah.
And I just, like, Zoro has these cool moments, but, yeah. This... Also, moving on, right? So we beat Kuro, right? The fight's over. And Usopp gathers the children, right? And the clinically depressed girl. And says, tell no one about this. We're not going to tell anybody. This is going to be a normal day. That is the coolest thing in the world. I can't believe it. And it's like, I think it hits home even more because he's told these fabricated stories to make himself, like, and so it banishes any thought that you had of Usopp tells these stories to make himself look better. Because it's not, I think what I took away from it when I read it this time was Usopp told those stories to Kaya, not so that Kaya would like him, but so that Kaya would have fun. It was always about her, not about him. He just put himself into the scenario to make the story. Because this is the perfect story that's real, that you have credible witnesses for. That the whole town would be like, "Oh my gosh, you saved us!"
Right.
Like
But he
this is like
doesn't need it.
No, but and that's what I'm saying. It's not for him. He didn't do this for him. He didn't make up these stories for him. He did it for her, which is so great. I want nothing more than for Usopp to eventually someday come home to Kaya, and they'll just have little long-nosed children running around. This is what I want so badly at the end of this story.
I really hope that happens.
I want him to have a small child on his lap, and they'll be like, "That didn't happen, Grandpa," and it's a real story that we really saw him do, and he's like, "You're right, it's all fake." That's what I want so badly. Oh,
wow,
anyway.
What a beautiful future.
I know. Oh, it's so good. Anyway, I'm sorry. He's only 16. We'll give him some time.
Grandson's nose will be like kind of long, but not that long.
It's diluted over time. Yeah. It's pointy for sure, but not quite all the way out.
Yeah.
I really love that he wants to keep this secret because he wants to keep the peace of the village. Like that's it just shows that he's a good guy, which is, I mean, we knew that from the story, but I really like that it shows that. And the farewell with the kids, you know?
Yes.
It's not like this one didn't get me super emotional, but a little bit, I gotta say. I got a little bit emotional. I just like, I don't know. I think back to like a time when like I had relationships like that, you know? With like when you're younger and you have these relationships that's like it feels like really intense because everybody's young. Yeah. And you're like we're like blood brothers and stuff like that. Like how like sad it is when you have to part. Like that's what it feels like it is. Like these kids are really good friends. Like and they have to part. I love that he screams like Usopp Pirates disbanded, like they're still doing, and then they go and they do the thing that he did, which is amazing.
Which is so incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, we get introduced to the ship that we will have for a long time. The Merry Go or the Going Merry, depending on what version you see. When you read it, first of all, are you reading scans online? Or are you reading it on the Viz site?
I'm reading scans.
Okay, so what does it say? What does it tell you it is?
It says Going Merry.
It says Going Merry. Sure. Yeah, that's what I thought. The
sure
official.
This is another. Fact check myself.
No, you're fine. I believe you. This is another. Chalk another one up for Viz doesn't know what they're doing, because it is
like
Merry Go.
I feel like I would have been like. That's really weird.
That's what it is. It's what it is. The official translation is Merry Go. That's what it is. Just like the official translation of Zoro's name is Zolo. And it will always be Zolo.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
I don't
Viz
like
just
them
needs
at
to
all.
understand when they've made a mistake and just change it. Just do it different. It's fine,
Just change.
Viz.
Just change. It's fine.
Anyway, but so yeah, the Going Merry, which is what we're gonna call it because that's what it's called. They got the Going Merry, and I like it. It's a cute ship. Don't know a whole lot about it at the moment, but it's great.
Yes.
How do you feel about how they, like, quote unquote, recruit Usopp officially?
I loved that. I loved
Yeah?
the way that they
Good.
recruited him, because like he's originally thinking like, oh, this is like a group of kind of really strong people, right? They probably won't want me to go with them, so I'm just gonna hop on my own boat. I'm gonna go have my own great adventure to the sea, and I'll be good. And then Luffy's just like, what are you doing? Why don't you just get on my ship and be one of my crewmates? And then Usopp gets like super emotional.
I love it.
And he's like, oh my gosh, of course I'll come. And then he's like, I'll be the captain.
It's so good.
And Luffy's like, I'm the captain.
Yeah.
Like, no, you
It's
can't
just
be
so
the
good.
captain. But I really enjoyed the way that happened, though. It was great.
Yeah. His addition to the crew is I think super important for the story. Everybody in the original 5 that we're gonna see from the East Blue are incredibly important characters to the narrative, and so Usopp is one of them that I think, and I think the way that each of them join the crew is super important as well. And so Usopp, this like nonchalant, like, of course you're part of it. Get on the boat, Usopp.
Get on the dang boat, right?
But Usopp not believing that they would want him on the boat.
Yes.
Like, he's like, I'll just go off, do my own thing. It's all cool. He's gonna let them take Kaya's ship, right? Like, that he clearly cares a lot about. He's gonna let them take it. He's just like, I'll do my own thing. But they're like, get on the boat. I love it.
Get on the boat. Right.
Yeah. But also in this arc, by the way, just quickly, briefly, if you will, we are introduced to cover page stories. Can you see these wherever you read?
I think I can. I don't know.
Have you seen Buggy? Have you
I have.
encountered?
I've seen
Okay,
Buggy.
all right. So this is Oda does this, and it's incredibly unique among manga authors, and I think it's an amazing idea that I wish more manga authors did. These cover pages are canon, and they are happening whenever he puts them out.
Right.
So this is like really happening to Buggy. I mean, essentially, we just saw Buggy try to survive, swim through piranha-infested waters. It looks like. I think a giant bird was gonna eat him in this section. Buggy's having a rough go of it so far. But I wanted to point out cover stories because they're super cool. And if you're reading along, definitely pay attention to them because it's kind of easy to skip. But they are canon and they are happening as the story goes on. So sometimes those will be important too in the future. Yeah. That's I don't know if you had any Buggy's escape cover story thoughts, but I just wanted to mention it.
I don't know. I didn't really read them, to be honest, because I didn't really think about it. I'll probably go back and reread them now, honestly. But I'll definitely be paying more attention though, and actually read them as they happen, since they are canon, like you said,
Yeah. It's always it's one of those things. It's like if you didn't pay attention, you'd be fine. Like the story makes up for it. But it's one of those cool little Easter egg things I think he does that just makes Oda a great manga author.
Yeah.
But that's all I got. You got anything else on this arc?
I do not.
All right. Well, that brings us to our final 2 questions. So, Kate, favorite arc so far? What do you got?
I definitely think that this arc has taken over the position of favorite arc at this point. So, yeah.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, no. It's definitely my favorite arc so far. I haven't always liked this arc. I've found it kind of weak, I think, in the East Blue saga before. But this time I definitely really liked it. And noticing those thematic differences really helped that too. But yeah. And your favorite character, the shining star from this arc.
The
I don't know
shining star.
Yeah, well, that's what we're going to call it from now on. The shining star of this arc is
Yeah. My shining star for this arc is gonna be Django.
Oh, that's so good. It's such a good pick. I'm so glad you said that. That's awesome. Django deserves it. Django deserves his star up on the tree.
He deserves it.
Yeah, mine is certainly Usopp. I don't know if you got that from the rant, but Usopp is one of my favorite characters in this entire story. And so his intro arc is definitely I'm going to say it's Usopp. So, yeah. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for listening to the PillowFort podcast with us here again. Next week, we're going to be doing the Baratier arc, which is chapters 42 through 68 if you're reading along with us. So I definitely encourage you to do that. But till next time, this is us going away.